Let's talk about Frozen 2. I just saw it over the weekend, and my opinion is that it is far superior to the first Frozen. Now granted, I will admit, I never was impressed by the first Frozen. I felt that the plot was very contrived. I thought it's obvious that the parents are strange individuals. They're the villains. The parents are the villains in the first one. When they found out that their daughter had this condition, instead of openly communicating about it, they did the opposite, and they basically locked their daughters up without any explanation, which was only going to cause psychological issues in their children. They're the villains, and I couldn't get past that. Not to mention the song Let It Go, I was never a fan of. It was too obvious. I am a songwriter, and I know that it has that universal chord progression, which we call it G, D, E minor, C. No matter what key it is, it's like the easiest progression you could possibly do when you're writing a song, because it universally is easy to like. Jason Mraz's song I'm Yours has that same progression. It's just very catchy and very easy. Just like Journey, Don't Stop Believing. Great song, but there's a reason it sounds so familiar, because it has that same universal chord progression. I was never into Frozen 1. And granted, by default, I've seen it probably more times than I can count because of having, a young daughter. So this past weekend, when the plan was to go see it, you better believe I was just kind of going along with it. Okay, we're as a family going to go see Frozen 2. All right, this is going to be annoying. What's funny about it though is, so my son and I, my son's 9, we loved it. My wife and my daughter's 3.5, 4, they did not like it. In fact, when we told our daughter, said, Holly, what did you think of the movie? She said, I want the other Frozen. I didn't like this one. She was expecting the first one, but ultimately I think it has a lot to do with the individual. I think it's a reflection of you, the individual viewer, on whether you like Frozen 2 or not. But what I've noticed too is specifically that very polarizing. Either you loved Frozen 2 and it's far superior to the first one, as I believe, or you just totally didn't like Frozen 2 at all. You loved the first one, but you didn't like the second one. I've yet to hear anybody say, and if they did, they'd be the exception to the rule, say, yeah, they're both equally good. I've yet to hear anybody say that. But see, for me, it's very obvious what they were wanting to do here. Frozen 1 takes place 6 years before Frozen 2. There's a 6 year gap there. There's 6 years in which the characters themselves had an opportunity to mature. And that's exactly what you see with the characters. These aren't the same characters as they were in the first one. They're more mature version. Even Olaf, and that's part of, he's basically having sort of existential crisis in this movie. You even see that with Olaf. But not only have they changed and matured, but the actual plot of this movie forces them to continue on that journey of maturity. And some say that's dark. I say the first one's dark. Man, the parents locked their daughters up and wouldn't communicate what was going on. That's pretty dark and messed up if you ask me. This new one though is more about finding their new mature identity. And the songs are superior. Like, I'm actually going to spend money, my own money, and buy Frozen 2 soundtrack. The songs are not simple. They don't have that universal, easy to like song the first time you hear it. It's more layered. There's more to it. I love it. And I think the performances are so much more impressive on this album as well. There's more diversity, I feel. Instead of everything's happy, everything's more somber, more serious. We're providing growth. Frozen 2 was not the kind of sequel where, I can name several examples, where it's just basically copy and paste the first one and do it again, and people will buy it and like it by default. The second Hunger Games movie was this way. Second Ghostbusters was this way. Even in theory, when they started coming out with Star Wars again, the first one with Rey in it, it ultimately was the same plot as the first one, just with new characters. And people will still like the movies if you do that. But Frozen 2 took a risk. They decided not to do that copy and paste. They thought, you know what? These girls who 6 years ago were girls are now older girls. And whoever you are, you're 6 years older now. You deserve something more mature. That's how I feel about Frozen 2. I say it's far superior to Frozen 1. How do you feel? What do you have to say? right here in the comments.